evening, everybody. Hello. Welcome to our live session here to celebrate the 110th anniversary of DENON. As you can see it nicely on my shirt here, that's the theme of this evening, and I'm very proud to guide you through the evening. My name is Oliver Kriete. I'm the European Product Manager, and we will have a nice session here recorded in Nettetal, which is on the German border close to Holland. And we have here our nice experience center, and we also have here all our equipment nicely presented for you to get you all the details and in and outs on the 110th anniversary models. With me, I have Roger Batchelor.
Good evening.
Good evening, Roger. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks very much. Yourself?
Yeah, all fine. Very excited to join this evening here and to guide the people, our audience, through the 110th anniversary lineup. And yeah, the agenda for this evening is, first of all, we will show you some of our history and tell you where DENON is actually coming from and what we have experienced in all the 110 years we passed. This part will be taken over by Roger. After that, I will guide you through the new products we are launching this October to celebrate the 110th anniversary. And actually, it is today, the 1st of October. It's the day we are turning 110 years. And after that, and in between, we will have question and answers. So please feel free to pop in your questions to the chat function, and we will answer them during the presentation. We will do some stops in between so that we can keep it interactive and you don't have to wait too long to get your questions answered. Let me quickly check where our audience is sitting today, because last time when we did the AVR live session, we had audience from India, from China, from US, Australia, so everybody really joined in. So I'm pretty curious, where is our audience today? Just put it into the chat, and maybe Roger can quickly pick it up when he's starting to talk about the DENON history. So I will hand over to him now, and I wish you a lot of fun this evening. We will have about 45 minutes of presentation, plus, I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, question and answers in between, depending on how deep your questions are going and how long our answers will be. So enjoy the time. Very happy to have you here. Roger, please take over.
Thanks very much, Oliver. Right, I think we've got our microphones just about balanced now. I think you were a little quiet, I was a little loud, but I'm sure people will let us know one way or the other, and Connor's monitoring us. But great to see everybody. Yeah, it's great if you can let us know where you're sending your questions in from. That's very regards from Poland. There we go. Hi to everybody. So I'd like to just take you through the timeline, really, to start with. Today, obviously, DENON is one of the world's leading manufacturers of high-quality audio products, as I'm sure most of you know. This is an overview of the timeline, the milestone developments that stand for where DENON has and is still operating to this day. So let's start off when the company was founded with the next slide. There we go. So it all began exactly 110 years ago today, on October the 1st, 1910. And interestingly enough, an American visionary and entrepreneur by the name of Frederick Whitney Horn started Japan's first ever audio equipment manufacturing company. Now, he was importing into Japan at the time. He had a passion for recorded music and a desire to share his passion with others. As Japan was becoming more open to trade, he believed that there would be a growing market for audio equipment. In addition, based on the core Japanese values of honesty, pride, and quality craftsmanship, he believed Japan would be a great source for manufacturing. And of course, that proved very much to be the case as the years went by. In the late 1930s, the company started to use the name DENON on products. And these values that were instilled in the early days of the company live on to this day and experienced by customers of the products. So if we go on to the next slide, Oliver. The company name originally translated as Japan Recorders Corporation, and it was the first company to manufacture and sell gramophones in Japan, and was also the first record company in Japan. Moving on to the 1930s, having been producing recordings and in terms of consumer equipment, the company started to manufacture some very early broadcasting equipment. And one of those early machines was a disc recorder that was launched prior to the 1940 Tokyo Olympic Games, and very much developed and used by NHK, the Japanese broadcast company. And there's been a lot of collaboration between DENON and NHK over the years, as you'll see as we go through. And the birth of the DENON brand name itself originated from two Japanese words, denki, onkyo. Denki meaning electrical, onkyo meaning sound. And this conflated into the name DENON, which, as I say, started to be used in 1939. Now, a little bit of World War II history for you here briefly. At the end of World War II, one of those disc recorders was used to record the Emperor Hirohito's speech ending World War II. And the disc that was recorded is now in the NHK Broadcast Museum in Tokyo. After the war, DENON became a subsidiary of the record company Nippon Columbia, and this started a long history of recordings. And the company soon moved with the times and delivered its first portable tape recorders for news reporting, and the very first LPs in Japan, and the very first stereo LPs in 1958, and the very first stereo systems. And during the 1960s, NHK engineers and DENON engineers worked on a project together to develop PCM encoding for recording music. Now, up to this point, PCM encoding had been used for telecommunications and by the BBC for transmissions of radio signals, but it hadn't been used for recording music up to this point. And the idea here was to improve the quality, get rid of tape hiss and noise, and also in terms of longevity, a digital format where music can be stored indefinitely without the worries of the degrading of tape. So that the very first digital recording of commercially released was made by DENON engineers with a prototype PCM recorder in September 1970, and that was released on vinyl disc in 1971. And all subsequent recordings from then on were, for the next 10 years, were released on vinyl disc until 1982, when DENON had the largest library of PCM digital recordings ready to go on the DCD format. So we can just go back one there, Oliver. So 1971, broadcast turntables, direct drive broadcast turntables. 1972, the first commercial digital recorder for studios rather than the prototype. And there were more portable versions developed for later on for traveling around the world. And 1981, the first ever professional use CD player, which I think Oliver's got one there in the showroom with him. So we'll see that again a little bit later on. 1987 saw the world's first CD cartridge players for broadcast use. Now, the BBC and broadcasters all around the world use these. 3 of them would fit side by side in a 19-inch rack. They had all the facilities for DJs to be able to access tracks quickly, and the discs were protected in cartridges, plastic cartridges, so to protect them from fingerprints and scratches. Very important, obviously, for broadcasting, not to have any glitches on air. And that led to the development of DJ machines, the first dual CD player for DJs with seamless looping and onboard sampling. And there was a whole range of those products that followed. Now, the broadcast and the professional side of the business is under completely separate ownership nowadays, whereas DENON continues, of course, to make consumer products. During the 1990s, we made a lot of recordings around the world, and some of them were recorded in London at the world-famous Abbey Road Studios, as you see there. And Chi Yun, a Korean violinist, did a number of her recordings in the UK, including one of these at George Martin's Air Studios. So these were all direct digital recordings that were then released on CD at the time, along with that library that was built up from 1972 to 1982. So we had the largest library of digital music. By 1997, DENON Germany's recording division were making Dolby Digital 5.1 recordings. And this very first one at the Alta Oper in Frankfurt, Germany, was recorded in November 1996 and released in 1997. Now, that was the world's first DVD music disc. In fact, it was one of the first DVD discs released, because it was very early days at that point. There were hardly any movies coming out until mid-1997. Most of those were imported from either Japan or America. So we used these discs to demonstrate 5.1 music at the Heathrow Hi-Fi show and also at the IFA show in Berlin. So moving back to consumer products, we will go into the next slide if we can, Oliver. 1970 saw the launch of the DL103 pickup cartridge for consumers, having been used for broadcasting for a number of years before that. So the product was designed and developed in 1964 for broadcast use, and is still available to this day. So it's one of, if not the longest running piece of equipment on the market, it's certainly one of them. And there have been various variations on those. We'll be looking at pickup cartridges again a little bit later on. 1972, we saw the first direct drive turntables for consumers and the first stereo amplifiers. And in 1982, Denon were one of the first brands to launch a CD player for consumers. And of course, going in partnership with that library of digital recordings. And during the 1980s and 90s, Denon's reputation really grew with a range of hi-fi separates around the world, including cassette decks, FM tuners, and stereo amplifiers and CD players, including a range that were designed in conjunction with British and Japanese engineers working together. And those won a lot of awards between them. But of course, not everybody wants full-size hi-fi separates, and particularly for maybe smaller rooms around the house or people who just don't want large equipment. So Denon, but most of the systems on the market were of not particularly good quality. So Denon decided to produce hi-fi separates quality in a mini system format. And those ranges have been very, very successful since 1991 when they first came out. The M series all-in-one launched in 1998. An all-in-one FM tuner, CD player, amplifier, and now, of course, with DAB radio and Bluetooth in the latest versions. Partnered with European-designed loudspeakers, carefully matched to complete the system, and also having them available with or without the speakers so the customer can choose. And so this has been a real success story for Denon around the world, and particularly with the What Hi-Fi Awards year in, year out since around 1998. But of course, like a lot of companies, from time to time, Denon produce state-of-the-art flagship products to, in a way, show what can be done when cost is no object, as you will see a little bit later on. And this CD player, Transport and DAC, came out in 1993 and was really sort of set the benchmark for CD replay at the time. So the CD Transport, very much like a turntable, had a disc clamp to hold the disc in place. The DAC had alpha processing, Denon's alpha processing, which improves the waveform for digital to give you a smoother, cleaner sound with masses of detail, but a more analog-like sound at the end of the replay. So that was about £12,000 in the UK, that player. But the technology on both those units was then brought down to more affordable products as time went by. And to go with them, there was a monoblock power amplifier, which weighed 80 kilos, and you needed 2 of those for your stereo system. And very, very powerful, of course, so you needed some very large speakers to get the best out of that. The preamplifier, as you'll see there on the right, has a separate power supply, and there was a flagship cartridge and transformer brought out at the same time. But again, all these products, the technology in all these products, as you'll see, is trickled down through the ranges. And of course, these type of products really bring in the crowds at the big hi-fi shows around the world as a sort of flagship. And then moving on to the mid-1980s, as you'll see there, we get into AV products. Now, around this time, around the 1980s, people started to plug in their stereo television sets and video recorders to their hi-fi. And Denon in 1984 brought out the first AV amplifier with video switching capabilities, followed fairly soon after by surround amplifiers with Dolby Pro Logic. And though followed on from there, of course, the successful range of AV amplifiers and receivers that we still see to this day. Again, flagship products were brought in 1995, the world's first Dolby Digital THX standard product, 2 separate power amplifiers there, 2-channel and 3-channel, to give you a 5-channel system. And then integrated amplifiers, the first THX Surround EX amplifier, which tied in with the reboot of the Star Wars movies as well, giving you surround back channels, so 7 channels rather than 5. And then that was with the separate power amplifier. And then the world's first product with DTS ES discrete 6.1, which tied in with the very first movie Gladiator, which came out with the DTS 6.1 soundtrack. And then more recently, the flagship 10-channel power amplifier that you see there on the right, and the AVP A1 HD, which again established a new benchmark for AV back in 2008. And then in 2009, the Denon DVD A1 UD supporting, that was a universal, in fact, the first universal Blu-ray player supporting Blu-ray, SACD, DVD audio, and CD. So quite a number of products, of course, have come out since those products, but those are the milestones that I wanted to take you through. And that brings us up to where we are today, 2020, celebrating the 110th anniversary.
Yeah, thank you very much, Roger, for guiding us through the history of Denon. Of course, I think it could continue for quite a while because there have been so many products and so many technologies introduced, developed by Denon, where Denon has been first to bring it to market, to the consumer market. The involvement in the PCM, as you mentioned, innovating the PCM recording, getting from the analog to the digital, was of course a big step in the future of audio, not only for 2-channel but also multi-channel processing, of course. And yeah, so we are now with the 110th anniversary, and to kick it off, I would like to show you a video.
デノンサウンドマネージャーの山内です。110周年を迎えるにあたりまして、デノン製品を長年愛用してきていただいたお客様、すべての方々へ感謝の気持ちをお伝えしたいと思います。今回発表いたします4つの記念モデルは、110周年を記念したモデルですが、同時に今最新のデノンのコンセプトを体現する製品でもあります。ぜひお楽しみください。
インスピレーションとしては、かつて50数年前のそういうきちんとしたコンセプトと設計、それに基づいたインスピレーションでこの DL-110 っていうのは形にできる。もう白川しか作れないと思います。だからよく見学とかに、いらっしゃるお客様とかいて、時々まずいですよねっていう聞かれる時あるんですけど、見せたところでできんでしょうというふうには私は答えてますけどね。103を標準でよく使われているお客様がいれば、そういうお客様に使っていただきたいなとは思いますね。
この製品の音を聞いて、でワオと驚くような、そういった体験ができるような、製品にしたいという思いで作りました。ディスク一つの作品をじっくりと聞いてもらいたいなというふうには思っています。
記念モデルにふさわしい新しい冒険をした製品にしたかったというのが第一の気持ちですね。全体として見て非常にいい出来だと思います。フォノイコライザー回路にも注力して開発しているので、ぜひレコードも聴いてほしいなと思います。
今回の A110 の音質は本当に私が作りたかった音質というものを具現化できましたので、もう120点点数を上げていいかなというふうに考えております。2チャンネルしかまだやってないよというお客様にも、今回の13チャンネル のイマーシブサラウンドですね A110 を使って体験していただきたいなというふうに思っています。
そうですね、どのモデルも仕上がりとてもいいですけど、ハイファイ製品に関してはこの2つのモデルはもろハイエンドの音になってると思います。値段は30万ですけど、その値段とはかけ離れた音質になってると思います。で AV アンプはディテールっていうんですかね、その空気の出方とか含めると、今までの AV アンプとも一線を画す別次元のアンプっていう風な感じがしますね。カートリッジもどちらかというとこちらは復刻版みたいに思われてるかもしれないんですが、聞いてみると実は音質的にすごい面白いところがある。ヘッドシェルが樹脂製でかなり軽くて、そして癖がないというところがあるので、裸の103のサウンドは聞いてもらいたいなと思いますね。全モデルご存知、日本の白川での生産となります。白川オーディオワークスもデノンの歴史を支えてきたなくてはならない存在で、デノンの高品質を象徴する重要な拠点となっております。これからも進化していくオーディオブランドデノンにぜひご期待ください。
Great. I hope you enjoyed the video. I always like to see it again and again because our Japanese engineers in there really have a lot of passion, and you only saw a few of them now. But please note that in the background we have over 200 engineers working in Japan on the development of our products. And as you saw in the video, there was a factory shown with a big DENON sign on it. That's our factory located in Shirakawa. That's in the up north of Japan, and there our premium products are produced still, and of course developed and designed and tuned, and what all comes together to get these nice products to market. I'm just following up some chats here, and that's why I'm also come now to highlight again. Denon is a Japanese company, and we still have our roots in Japan, and we still have our offices and research and development and production in Japan. But I also would like to pick up on my first question this evening when I asked where you're from. I can really see it's again all over the world. It's starting from Europe, of course, with Belgium, Ireland, Ukraine, but also then again coming from India and China. And I haven't seen US yet. Oh yeah, there's one from the US as well. So welcome everybody, and yeah, let me guide you through the products, anniversary products, and here's what you will get information about. Actually, we will bring to market 4 anniversary products. The first one will be in a flagship AV receiver, the ABC A110. Then followed by a hi-fi amplifier and SACD player, PMA A110 and DCD A110. And the final, very small and tiny one is an MC cartridge with a special head shell, where we also have a very nice story on, and that's the DL A110. And yeah, what was our approach when we came to these new products? When we designed these anniversary products. So first of all, we said to the engineers, just imagine what you can do if you don't have any cost limitation, and give it, let the lines loose and start to work on all the good things you can think about. There are no limitations, just get the best out of it to celebrate the products, the 110th anniversary. And the first product, as mentioned before, is the ABC A110. So as you already can see on the picture, it is the beast. And Yoshi, maybe you can quickly make a zoom on the product over here, because I like to show it just quickly here on the shelf. So just for your information, Yoshi is my Japanese colleague working here as our cameraman and making it possible for us to transmit all the nice information to you via the online YouTube session. As you can see it here, that's the ABC A110, and it's built like a tank. It's very solid. It has massive aluminum side panels. It has a massive solid aluminum trapdoor over here, which is about, roughly guess, it's about 8 millimeters to 1 centimeters in thickness. You have heavy knobs, and it all comes in a very nice color, which is the so-called silver graphite anniversary color. And it comes, of course, with a nice badge over here for the 110th anniversary, just to highlight it. So I will close that one here, and then we can continue to look into the details of the ABC with my presentation. And yeah, in the picture or in the movie before, you have seen Yuki Takahashi-san. He was talking about his baby, his AV receiver, the A110, and he scored this product 120 points. That was actually his target, to get it really the best out of an AV receiver and really do better than everything else on the market. And his approach was the word abyss. You might remember the movie in the deep sea, where there was some submarine in trouble, and some people from an offshore facility went down into the deep sea, and you could really feel nicely the pressure of the water which was above the guys, and he wanted to bring out this power, this extreme power that you can feel. But in the same way, he wanted to have every detail, because in the deep sea everything is quiet, and you will notice every little sound. And these two elements he wanted to bring across. And deep and bottomless was his approach when it came to the bass. And he defined some words here for his abyss. It's a high-low frequency resolution. Bass, it's not just bass. Bass has also different levels, and these have to come very nicely across and have to be precise and controlled, not just filling the room, but really getting you the details in the deep sounds. Then you need a high-speed sound, which actually brings all the details to life and really brings the details up and nicely positioned in the cinema experience. High mechanical stability, that was of course one of the foundations he needed to get this done. A very good chassis, a solid chassis. I just mentioned to you about the side panels, the thick aluminum trapdoor, but also we have die-cast feet on this unit, which are very heavy. So it's all very about stability. And another fact was high heat dissipation is also needed for stability. Yeah, so if a product is changing temperature all the time, also the sound characteristic is changing. So he managed to stabilize the heat, the temperature inside the unit. So by this defined condition, he of course could really achieve his goal of abyss. So of course we have, as I already mentioned, the die-cast feet. That's a picture, the third one, which you easily can identify. But also you can see the DENON transformer or the DENON main capacitors, which are located in the power supply. And I have them here on my little table. So Yoshi is just going to zoom in here. So these are really nicely made. As you can see, they are DENON branded, 110th anniversary. So these main capacitors are not used in any other product. These are especially developed for this ABC A110. So the inner construction is made by special materials. There's the fluid, the paper, the foil. It's all developed together with the manufacturer of the main capacitor, of these capacitors. So it's a cooperation done here. And yeah, the powerful transformer with the DENON logo on top, and on the right hand side you can see the speaker terminal is also very important for the best connectivity to transport the sound quality to your speakers actually. And on the next one, you can see more customized parts we are using just to get the right sound performance. Because in the end, it's all about the balance of these parts to really achieve your goal, to really get the Denon sound characteristic out of the product. And here, just a little example on what has been done. You know, you might have noticed that there's quite some similarity in the appearance of the products to the X8500, our today's flagship on the market. Of course, this is already a fantastic machine, but we took this one as a base unit to create the A110, and then over 280 parts, electrical parts have been changed, and over 150 parts mechanical has been changed. And what you can see here is, for example, the DAC board, the DA converter board, where over 100 parts has been changed just to give it the better performance. And on the next picture, you will see something what you can't see by your eyes, because it's the board actually where all the components are soldered to, where all the connections are done between the single parts in the product. And here we have all these tracks on the board. And on the standard PCB board, it's just 35 micrometer thick, while on the A110 we doubled the size to 70 micrometer, which of course gains a lot of low resistance paths for the signal, for the power supply, which really makes a huge difference. And the next picture already shows you the inside, and I didn't dare to put it up here and show you all the inside on a live product. So I will carry it over here. It's a bit heavy, so I can show it now to you. Here we go. And sorry for the sound, but it's damned heavy. And you can nicely see the inside of the product over here. So as you know, it's a 13-channel amplification in here. So we have on one side, I now have to see here, these are the 7 amplifier channels, and we have 6 over here. And it's all nicely designed. So I have spoken about the temperature stability. You can see here maybe there's a copper plate added to the heat sinks, which helps to keep the temperature very stable, even if heavy action is going on, a lot of current is going through the speakers. So the temperature will stay very stable on one level. So we have in the center here the very heavy power transformer with the Denon 110's logo on it. And as you can see all inside here, it's nicely black. So it's really also reflecting the abyss. So with a deep, bottomless approach for the sound quality. And it's really energetic product, I can tell you. It's really fun to listen to. Okay, let me put this back again here. Sorry for the noise. So here we go. So, and yeah, that's so far the information on the ABC A110. The pricing is £5,000, €5,500. And I would like to open the microphone to Roger now, so that we maybe can answer some questions. Roger, do we have any?
Oh, yes, we've got a few coming in. Lots of people asking where they can get the
I already
T-shirt.
expected that. I only found it this evening on my desk, so I still have to check where to get it. Yeah. So.
Okay, indeed. Yes, even I haven't. I haven't got one. But there's a few. That's okay. But thanks everyone for questions coming in. Let's pick one. I don't know if you can see it on the screen there. Denon is a top AVR. This is from Peter. Denon is a top AVR producer. Why don't you support main-in power amp connection with your mid-level line so that we can effectively combine AVR and integrated amp? Many people go for other amps instead.
Yeah, I know that's let's say a little gap in our lineup. We had that in the past, that we could utilize the integrated amps with a main power in, or so we also call it direct power amplifier input.
Yeah.
But Over the time, it somehow got lost, but we have it on our wish list for the next amplifiers to come to market to bring it back.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look. We've got lots of questions coming in here. Okay, so here's one from Jeremy Travis in London. Do Denon have any intention of producing a Blu-ray and SACD player?
No, it's not in our portfolio right now, and we see the movement away from, let's say, the physical disc when it comes to enjoying movies. A lot is going online, and while with streaming, the access to even high quality video is pretty easy nowadays. So we don't plan to bring a new Blu-ray player to market.
No. Okay, here's one from George Johnston. Is the AVC 110 an improvement on the AVC X8500H?
I hope so, yes. I showed you all the changes
Yes.
we made, and we put a lot of effort in here. As said, we took the cost reductions out, and we really invested a lot on components and on the parts, on the cabinet, everything around the product. It's completely different to the 8500, and it's really a big step in performance.
Indeed, indeed. And of course, it is very much based on the 8500, isn't it? But it obviously with all those improvement that you've outlined.
Yeah, exactly. So if you look feature-wise, you can't tell the difference. But as soon as you, let's say, touch the product, lift the product, so it's about 2.5 kilo more heavy than the 8500. But especially if you listen to it, then you will notice immediately the difference.
Indeed, indeed. Okay, so there's a question here about, I would like to know if the sound of the AV receiver is similar to the new 110 amplifier, or do they each have a unique sound? Well, we're going to talk about the amplifier in a moment, aren't we?
Yeah, that we will do. Yeah, no, they both have, of course, the same characteristic when it comes, because it's a Denon sound. You have seen in the video we had Yuki Takahashi, who's responsible for the AVC A110. But we also had Yamauchi-san. He is responsible for the amplifier and CD player. However, he is also the sound master of Denon. So he also has to approve the AVC A110 designed and tuned by Yuki-san. But they are working very closely together so that you really have the Denon sound characteristic in the whole lineup.
Indeed, indeed. Thanks for that one. David Pierre would like to know, when will the AVR 110 be available for purchase?
You don't have to wait long. I think it's about 7 to 10 weeks. 7 to 10 days.
Yeah, from now. Yeah.
Yeah. So from now onwards. Yeah. So mid-October, they will be latest available in the market.
Indeed, indeed. Good. Okay. I think that's it. That so far as relevant questions to the AV side of things for the moment. But keep the questions coming in, everybody. And should we move on with the next part of the presentation, Oliver?
Yeah, we can do, sure. And if any other question is popping into your mind regarding the AV receivers or the AVC, just put them in, and we can cover these at the end of the presentation as well.
Yeah.
So then let's step into the hi-fi world. So you briefly mentioned already PMA A110 and DCD A110. These are our hi-fi flagship models celebrating the 110th anniversary. And let's start with the DCD. So of course it's a SACD player, as you know from our other flagship products. So we have our own proprietary SACD drive because there aren't any good on the market which you can purchase. So all you will get is normally a kind of DVD drive or CD-ROM drive or whatsoever. So more designed for computer use, but not for audio. Hence, we develop our own mechanism, which you can see here. And it's a suppress vibration hybrid design. So really to minimize vibration, which can occur when the disc is spinning with high speed. And the tray, for example, is made out of die cast, so it's very heavy and solid. And on top you can see this nice shielding with a copper color, with a denim badge on it. So it's all very stable and solid build to guarantee a proper data readout from CD, SACD, but even from DVD-ROMs, which you can design yourself, where you can put on all your beloved music in your own compilation, be it normal CD, be it FLAC, so be it normal WAV files, or be it FLAC, but even up to DSD files, you can put all together on a disk and play it back via our mechanism. Then let's have a look to a bit of the technical specialities. So Roger mentioned that alpha processing, developed beginning of the 90s, is smoothing out the analog wave form from a digital signal, and this alpha processing got refined year after year, and we always did little step to improve it. And the last one we had was the enhanced AL32 processing, and of course with the A110 anniversary models, we are bringing it to the next level. And as you can see, it's now called Ultra AL32. And what it actually does is it does upsampling of the original sample frequency up to 32 times, which means if you have, for example, a 44.1 kilohertz sample frequency, what you have normally on a CD, it will get 30 times multiplied, so that actually you will have a sample frequency of 1.5 megahertz at the end. And any PCM signal will get upsampled to 1.5 megahertz at the end. So that's quite a big step. And what you can see on the picture itself is the processor used for this upsampling. So this is really a nice technology, the alpha processing, to really refine the audio signal, the waveform of the analog signal. As you can see here on the DCD, that's actually the blue rectangle. We can handle signals up to 192 kilohertz PCM signals, while later on the same technology is also used in the PMA A110. We even can do 384 kilohertz sample frequency. And the difference is just coming from that on the CD drive, on the disk, we have 192 kilohertz as a maximum sample frequency, while on the amplifier we have the USB-B DUC functionality, which lets you connect your computer to the amplifier directly, and there we also have the possibility to play back 384 kilohertz. So once the signal is processed, so means after the AL32 processing, the signal will be sent to the DA conversion to make out of the digital signal an analog signal. The speciality here again on the A110 model is that we have 4 times a stereo DA converter. Actually, for a CD player, you just would need one of these stereo DA converters to get the left and right signal to derive, to pass it on to your amplifier. However, in the A110 model, we have a quadruple DA configuration. It's working actually in double differential mode. So for every channel, for the left as well as for the right, we have 2 times the stereo DUC in a very special configuration, which gives you a very high signal-to-noise ratio, plus a very low error possibility. So we're minimizing the error, we're increasing the signal-to-noise ratio, which actually will lead to a high-performance audio signal. And this high-performance audio signal, coming from the DA conversion stage, we will pass on to the IB conversion stage, which actually is driving the signal towards the amplifier. And on the bottom you can see how the whole board looks like. You see very much in the center, it's the Ultra 32 processing, then it's followed by the DA conversion, then the conversion stage. And on the left-hand side, you can actually see already the power supply just acting for this area. And I have it here on another picture, just to highlight for you. So that's really dedicated for the analog stage of this board, the audio power transformer with dedicated power transistors for a discrete power supply to the stage. Also very important to get a clean audio signal out of a CD player. And yeah, that's it so far on the CD player side, and I want to move on with the amplifier. If there's no question by Roger for now.
We can pull one in, I think. Here's one from Theonis. Any new DENON audio streamers in the lineup?
No, at the moment we don't have any plans, or let's say we had a plan to get an audio streamer also for the A110's anniversary lineup, but actually we haven't been that happy with the result we could achieve. And before bringing a product to market just to complete a line, but not being happy with the result, we postponed the audio streamer. But I can promise you we are working on a unit as an, let's say, a pure audio streamer, high performance one.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much. Now, I think if you move on to the amplifier now, we'll take the rest of the questions after that.
Okay, sounds good. So let's move on to the amplifier, PMA A110, and it's an integrated amp with DA conversion built in. So we have digital connectivity. I mentioned before already that we have the USB-B DUC function, but also optical and coaxial digital inputs are available. So you really can connect any kind of source to it, be it analog, high level or low level. If you think about phono, we also have a pretty nice phono stage in there, but also we have the connectivity for the digital domain. So let's have a look to some specialities of this product. Maybe before I'm going in here, oh no, I will continue with that one here before I'm going into the power stage, power amplifier stage, because one speciality for the first time in DENON, let's say, history, in an integrated amplifier, we are changing from a conventional potentiometer for the volume control. We are going to change to electrical volume control. And this gives us certain benefits. First of all, the audio signal doesn't need to go through the analog potentiometer, which is normally located on the front. You know, it's on the center of the amplifier. You have the volume control knob. Normally, the audio signal goes through the volume control knob and then goes back to the preamplifier board, then to pass on to the power amps. I will have another graphic to analyze it or to show it better to you, but this is not necessary. So the signal path is shorter. There's less possibility to let's say, destroy or get interference to the audio signal. And we also have an active gain control, which helps to improve signal-to-noise ratio significantly. And the better the signal-to-noise ratio is, the more details, of course, you can reveal and listen to. So the more original you get to the original recording. And we do use for this volume control the Muse IC, which is pretty high quality, and we are really happy with the solution. Yeah, as you can see on the top, there's a green arrow shown, which is just doing a control signal that's coming from the front now. So the signal, the audio signal, the red one, doesn't need to go to the front. So there's no connection between these two lines. So it's nicely separated. And that's how it looks inside of the amplifiers. The red line again is the audio signal path. And you can see it just coming from the back on the right-hand top right corner. So that's the input section. Then it passes on through the preamplifier stage. And where the blue arrow is pointing on, there's the electrical volume control actually. and there the audio signal goes through, and then it directly goes to the power amplifiers on the left and the right side with the heat sinks you can see. But it doesn't go to the front signal, front board, where the volume control is. There you only can see the green light. So from there only control signals are coming. So the signal path is shorter, it's less risk of interference to the audio signal, and with the active gain control we really can improve the signal to noise ratio. So it's a really nice step forward here in this direction. And the next I'm coming to is actually we always use ultra high current MOSFET single push pull circuitry for the power amplifier stage. It's very much proven over the years. It's very much DENON technology. We have the high current capability, and it nicely drives any type of speaker. And the old concept in this class so far was a three-stage concept. But for the A110, actually we are adopting a two-stage concept, which also makes the design of such a circuitry, the topology, is a bit more tricky, but if you can manage it, the overall result is much better. And actually this technology is now tripling down from a product which is even not available here on the European market, because we have a very good reputation here on the European market for DENON Hi-Fi. However, in Japan it's even much higher positioned, and there are other products available on the Japanese markets, the so-called SX series. And Roger mentioned before, we had the S series as technology leader very much in the mid-90s, and this continued on the Japanese market. And we now taking some of these technology from the SX series and bring it down into the A110 here on the European market. So that's a really nice performance improvement. And as said, we also have a very nice high quality phono input stage for MMC with passive RIAA correction. So that's the equalization you have to do for the phono signal. And that's really all in high quality and perfectly fits, of course, to the DENON DL A110 anniversary cartridge, which I'm showing you in a minute. So Ultra AL32, I don't have to tell a lot about it because I covered already at the CD player part. And it will also have here the quad DAC configuration like we have seen on the CD player. So it's really a high quality DA conversion stage in the amplifier as well. And if you don't use it, you can even completely switch it off. There's a pure analog mode, so there is no digital interference to your sensitive analog signal if you don't need it, if you don't use it. So, and of course, inside a lot of high quality parts are used just to find the right balance, to get the right balance in sound, to create the DENON sound characteristic. And I also have these two products over here open up for you, so you can also have a brief look inside, and I can show you some of the details live here. Okay, Yoshi? Then let's have a look over here. Okay, here we are. So as you can see, we have the amplifier built up here, and I explained to you that's the input section with the electrical volume control. You can also see that the whole section here is shielded by an extra metal plate. Actually, it goes down to the bottom of the product, so there's no interference between the sensitive input stage and the powerful amplifier stage. We have our leakage cancellation configuration for the power transformers, two of them. One is twisted by 180 degrees, so if there's any radiation, it will just cancel out, so you don't get any interference. We nicely have here our main capacitors, which also derive from the SX series from Japan. So all these high quality parts to get the right DENON performance. And if I turn it a bit. I'm sorry, it's so heavy. Oh my gosh. So you can also see a quick look here on the rear with the very solid speaker terminals, also deriving from the SX series, the input stage for the phono. And down here we have all the digital section with the USB dock, coaxial and optical inputs. And yeah, what else do we have? Yeah, the rest of the analog inputs. Okay, fine. And yeah, we have a power amp direct for this product here. Yeah, so if you want to upgrade your AV system, feel free to go for an A110. The second unit is of course the SACD player, and also here you can nicely see we have two different transformers. One is used for the analog section, the other one just for the digital section to keep also here a maximum separation on the power supply. We have here all the, let's say, analog, from this side, analog stage up here, so with the output over here, and that's Ultra 32 processing, DA conversion, IV conversion, and then to the output stage. Again, underneath here you will find the mechanism, our proprietary one, and underneath here there's all the electrical control for the mechanism also sheeted, so we don't get any interference. And everything can be nicely controlled with the aluminum top finish remote, which also comes in the silver graphite color, perfectly matching to the amplifier and the SACD player. So really nice, high quality hi-fi system. Okay, let me check with Roger if there are any questions on the hi-fi units. So pricing I can quickly mention, it's 3,200 pounds for the amplifier and 2,800 pounds for the CD player. So Roger, your turn.
Okay. Yep. We've got a few coming in. Okie dokie. Is it better to use the RCA analog outputs from the disc player to the amplifier, or is it better to send the digital outs to the amplifier, given that you have excellent decoding in
actually,
the amp?
I would still recommend to use the analog output of the CD player, just because we do have more space in the CD player to even do more advanced signal handling. So you have seen the inside picture of the amplifier. It's pretty crowded. Yes, we have a good DA conversion stage in there. However, all the filtering stage, which is built into the CD player, it's more advanced. So I would go, if I connect the CD player, surely for the analog signal.
Good. Okay. Now, talking about the DCD A110, does it support SACD multi-channel playback? Says George Johnson.
No, it's a pure stereo product.
Pure stereo, yeah, indeed. Okay. Here we go. So why not selling PMA SX11 in Europe?
Oh, because now we have the PMA 110, so
Indeed.
we don't have to go for the SX.
Pretty much covered that one, doesn't it?
Yeah, but just to explain it, so in Japan, of course, you have 110 volt, and we just can't copy it and bring it over to Europe. So that will mean a complete redesign of the products, because if you go for a 220 volt transformer, it will have quite an impact on the power supply, which again has an impact on the overall sound quality. So it's not just simple like that to switch a power transformer.
Okay, right. Okay, so we've got another one here. If not a separate streamer, then integrated one with an amplifier, as Marantz has. But then we've got the DRA 800, right? That's a slightly different product, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a different level. Of course, it's an integrated amplifier with streaming capability and even HDMI switching capability. But I'm sure you're looking for something different here if you want to have, let's say, upper class amplifier with streaming included.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, from David Gerald, I have the X8500. How much better sounding is the A110? Is it worth upgrading to?
That was the X8500. Yeah.
Yeah.
As explained, it's quite a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Good. Okay, that's it for now then, Oliver. If you'd like to move on to your next part of the presentation.
Sure. Yeah, and that will be now a light one. It's a DLA110, and maybe Yoshi can just change the camera, and I will show you the nice cartridge here in the box. Here we go. Yeah, look. So actually, that's how the unit will come. It's a nice carrying box, and it's nicely made. And of course, he has another shield on top to protect it. But I already took it off, so you can directly see the cartridge in here, which comes out very nicely. And there's also a little brush to clean the needle. And yeah, that's the nice DLA110 with the DENON imprinted on the top. It has a special head shell, and actually fitted in the head shell is the, to be careful here, is the famous DL103 cartridge of DENON. It's nicely put in here. Right, okay. So with every cartridge, of course, you will also get the measurement data of the frequency response of the cartridge, just to guarantee you that's all perfectly fitting. And that's also something I will mention at the end again, but with every A110 product, there will be a certificate of authentication, which actually means that the engineer signed off the quality of the product. In a test run, everything got checked and proved, and only if everything is running smoothly and fine and within specification, which have been set very high, he will sign off personally for the product. And that's also why we give a 5-year warranty on the product. Of course, not on the needle, on the cartridge, as you can imagine, but for all the rest of the products, it's a 5-year warranty. So let's have a look to the cartridge a little bit closer here. What was the inspiration? As Roger mentioned, in 1964, the cartridge, the DL103, was produced or designed, developed together with NHK, the broadcasting studio in Japan. And they had very high criteria, high specification requirements on the performance level and the characteristic of the cartridge in combination with a head shell. Because at that time, let's say, all the DJs or all the broadcasting studio, the guys going there and playing the disc, the vinyl, of course, they had their own cartridge, and that's also why this one here is coming in a carrying box, because they all brought the cartridge with them along. So just to be sure they get the right performance. And this now here, the A110, is a very nice combination of the DL103 with a special head shell, which actually is inspired by the NHK from 1964. And it was very important to get it very lightweighted and to get the resonance frequency very low, so that you really had a nice frequency response from the low frequency up to the high frequency, and even to extend the high frequency wider. That was really important to get the head shell very lightweighted, so that the needle itself could follow all the details in the groove very easily. And the person behind who took care of the DLA 110, actually, I would say he was already involved in developing the DLA 103 back in 1964. That's Okaseri-san. He is a long-time Denon veteran with the company, and he is still guiding the production of our cartridges, because I showed you the factory picture. This factory, there's one dedicated section unit where they still produce our cartridges, and they are all hand manufactured. So these winding can't be done by any machine, so it has to be done by hand. And there are only a few ladies in the company which are, let's say, skilled to do this in a proper way. So this cartridge now, the A110 with the special head shell, is designed to fit perfectly to SME arms or similar, so they do have these bayonet connection, which is specially made for SME. And as mentioned before, the good channel separation was very important. Extended bandwidth from low to high, so much wider than you normally get. A low impedance, mechanical impedance, so which also have, of course, impact to the resonance of the total system, and the ease the cartridge can follow the groove. So overall, it's a very nice, very solid cartridge. And just to give you some figures, the good channel separation is about 15 dB at 10 kilohertz, which is amazing for a cartridge. And it's still 20 dB, or it's even more, up to 20 dB in the frequency range 100 hertz to 5000 hertz. So very good here. Let's summarize it a bit. The 110th anniversary edition. So it's to celebrate our 110th, and for that, special sound tuning has been done by our sound masters. I mentioned before Yamauchi-san and Takahashi-san, which you can see pictured here on the right-hand side. We have all of the A110 models produced in our own factory in Shirakawa in Japan. So we can guarantee by that the highest quality standards. And they will all come in this nice silver graphite color and special design. I showed you the strong side panels on the ABC A110, but also on the hi-fi systems. I didn't show it before, but I have down here the top lids of these products, which are quite solid steel, so that it's really a very stiff construction of the cabinet as well. We have the 110th anniversary logo, of course, which makes these products unique. And as mentioned, there will be the certificate of authentication in the box, guarantee the best performance, signed off by the engineer, and giving you the 5 years warranty. So overall, we have this nice combination of the CD and amplifier, the cartridge, and the ABC AV receiver. It's exclusive because it's the 110th anniversary model. It's authentic. It's signed off. It can only be, let's say, it's only available from Denon, and it's very special just because of all the efforts the engineering put in to sound tune these units to make them really outstanding anniversary models and giving you the best performance. Okay, and maybe just before going back into question and answers, I will ask Yoshi to play or show us quickly our 110th anniversary website, because that's also put live today, where you can see all kind of detailed information around the 110th anniversary. You have seen just at the beginning the picture of Okaseri-san. There are the interviews with the engineers. There are detailed information on the AV receiver again, on the amplifier, on the CD player. So it can be all found over there. Little nice videos. And keep on visiting this website, because it will, let's say, continue to grow with more information, with more interviews over the time. So it's a really nice source of information if you want to dig into Denon history and if you want to get more details on the products itself. Okay, that was my product part, and I would like to give the chance to Roger to ask me some questions again.
Okay, thanks very much, Oliver. Excellent. Yeah, there's a few here. First of all, from John Blakemore. I have an AVR H2600 and running audio mass monitor speakers in a 5.1 configuration. Would you know which switchover setting for the subwoofer?
It's very difficult to say because I don't know the audio mass monitor, to be honest. And I don't know how deep these monitors can play. I would now say roughly over the thumb, start with 100 Hertz and try if you're happy with that. Fiddle around a bit with the level of the subwoofers, and then you try 120 or you go down to 80 Hertz and see what suits better. So subwoofer is always a bit of, let's say, try and error, because it's also depending on your room, how much, let's say, you activate the room by the subwoofer. So just find the right blending from the monitors to the subwoofer. Be careful with the level, don't overpower it, because actually you don't want to hear the subwoofer, it should just support your speakers.
Indeed, indeed. Or I guess use Odyssey to do the calibration.
That will help as well, yes.
Indeed, indeed. Okay, so there's one here from Peter again. PMA 1600 NE is almost 4 years old. Is an upgrade in the pipeline?
Oh, we are always working on some nice successor models. I can't tell you now the details what we're going to bring, but I can promise you that we will continue to bring hi-fi products to the market under the Denon brand.
Yeah.
So it's not that we just continue with the products we have. We will still invest in hi-fi because it's a very nice hobby and nice business.
Indeed, indeed. One again from Jeremy Travis. Jeremy from London. Do Denon have any intention of producing a high quality mini system again? I think what this perhaps refers to is the fact that in the past we've had some top of the range separate mini systems going back to the 90s and 2000s, whereas now we have the sort of more integrated systems, which are very good quality and value for money, but are there any plans for anything above that?
It's a different approach, I understand, yeah. No, at the moment I don't see any product in the pipeline going in this direction.
Indeed, indeed, yeah. Okay, so David wants to know how much better sounding is the A1. Oh no, we've had that one, sorry. Go back to that. Just bear with me for a moment. We'll find some from earlier on. Someone was asking about in-car audio. Can't find it here now. But obviously many years ago we had in-car stereo from Denon, but not nowadays. I don't think anywhere in the world, is there? From
no, that's let's say it's not our business anymore.
No, indeed, indeed. Okay. Otherwise, there are some questions, but they are pretty much covering the ground that we've already covered in the main. Let's just see if there's any new ones coming in. Oh, someone earlier on, Peter said, very interesting. Could you make an extended version of this history review, referring back to the history? I'm sure we can publish something online, a bit more in depth.
As well, yeah. We'll look into that.
Yeah. Some other nice comments coming in. Such great products, legendary.
Thank you very much.
I want that 110 t-shirt too. Where can we buy it? And thanks for entertaining the world from the last 110 years. So
we do our best, yeah. And
indeed.
we'll continue to do it, yeah. So always aiming for the best performance, the best in class, yeah. So we also, of course, have different price categories in the AV receiver lineup or in the hi-fi lineup, but you can be assured that we always do the best to get the most performance for the money you spend, and it is a Denon performance. So all the products As said, we have the sound masters, which keep control of the audio quality, that it will be consistent over the lineups, and that you always get if you buy a Denon, you will get the Denon characteristic of sound.
Sure. Another one there saying happy 110th anniversary wishes. So we've got quite a lot of
thank you.
Quite a lot of there's a lot of nice comments like that coming in, which is oh, here's one of interest. Will those thicker copper traces be on the HDMI board too? Talking about the AVC A110.
On the HDMI board?
Yeah.
No. Oh,
right.
Oh, you mean now I get it. Yeah. So the traces on the PCB board, yes, they are.
They are.
Yeah, it's also 70 micrometer.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. George Johnston says, why have Denon not thought of SACD multi-channel playback with their new player? I only buy SACD discs and would really like the new player that does that. It's a while since we've had a universal player that will do the multi-channel SACD playback, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So it's a challenge for the mechanism, first of all, and if you then want to output the multi-channel signal digitally, it only can be done by HDMI, so you can't do it with coaxial or optical. So you will need HDMI output to output the multi-channel SACD signal. However, let's say it's very limited use nowadays of multi-channel SACDs, and we had, as you said, we had the universal players in the past, but it never really made it to the market.
Indeed, yeah.
With SACD multi-channel, yeah.
Yeah. Going back to one from earlier on, I think Ian is asking about EARC inputs, but basically all the amps have EARC anyway, don't they, with the output?
Yeah, so EARC, for who it doesn't, who don't know it, it's an enhanced audio return channel. And what it actually does is it returns the audio signal from your connected TV to the AV receiver. So if you hook up your TV to the AV receiver with the HDMI cable, it will be connected, of course, to the output of the AV receiver, which is acting as your switching hub for all your HDMI sources. If you run on your TV, let's say a YouTube app or any streaming services, the audio signal will be sent back via this one cable to the AV receiver, so you can enjoy the sound via the AV receiver.
Yeah, great stuff. Okay, one here from India. When will the A110 be available in India? Do we know?
I don't know. I'm sorry. Maybe a month later. I'm not sure. It can be also that it's the same timing.
Okay, good. Well, I think that pretty much covers all the relevant questions. I will just bring this one up to sort of finish off with. This just come in the last few minutes. Great presentation, history timeline, very interesting. Have a few of the old milestones. Thanks. Happy birthday to Denon.
Great. Yeah, then I only can say thank you, Roger, thank you, Yoshi, and thank you very much to the audience for joining this evening here. And yeah, very happy to see you here, to hear your feedback, to get the positive comments, to get all the wishes for the 110th anniversary, and yeah, enjoy the sound of Denon. Take care and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Yep. Thanks very much, everybody. Bye-bye.